You doing all right today?
Yes, sir.
Scott, you doing okay?
Doing well, thank you. How are you? Okay. This is the Williamson County Board of Commissioners meeting. It's August 31st, 2022. It is 1:20 p.m. Roll call, please.
Jim Marlowe.
Present.
Bruce Gentry.
Present.
Tim Anderson.
Is there any old business? The only thing I can think of is, remember I was telling you guys about maybe getting a little press out there when they deliver that shit.
Yeah.
Tomorrow about 10 o'clock. And you know, nothing
I
big.
saw it
Nothing-
today out there. Pretty
They are tickle pink with that. And it's wired for an outside generator. They can plug it in and they got lights and they can run their air conditioner. It's really
I might
hot.
just go live in
And
it.
so, but anyway, that's all I got for old business.
All you need is a chair and television. You'd be
Well,
good.
yeah.
Under new business, we have the public defender contract for Brandon Mayberry. This is a contract public defender that was approved by the presiding judge. Gross compensation shall be $8,531.25. I need to approve this contract.
I have a question. That's the total amount he's going to be paid.
What it says on here,
What is
gross
that?
compensation shall be
That's not monthly, is it?
payable shall be made on the last working day of each month. Oh, I forgot that
So,
part.
I seriously have a question about that because it also says he won't work over 1,000 hours.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So-
He's a 1099.
Do we know if this is a monthly compensation or if this is for up until 1,000 hours?
I would say
It'd be either or.
I would say either or the 1,000 hours.
Or 1,000
That's it.
hour, whatever it is.
Okay.
So
It takes a month and a half to hit it, you're done.
Well,
Actually, it's
If it's
$9.99.
1,000 hours, what is that? $8 an hour he's going to be working for.
It's $102 an hour.
So
Actually, they changed
You
that.
start careful now, buddy.
$9.99.
Right? It's
Well, that's what I was wondering.
It's
is that-
8,531 times 12 is 102 divided by 1,000 hours. It's $102.38 an hour
For 100 hours.
for 1,000 hours.
So,
uh,
I took the annual compensation. So it's 8,531.25 per
Oh.
month times 12 months
Okay, I see
equals
what you're doing.
102,000 and some change divided by the maximum amount of hours that he can work, which is 1,000 hours, comes out to be $102 an hour is what.
okay.
whichever hits
But I've got a
first.
question on this whole thing, again, at the last page. Why are we voting on this or approving this if we've already signed it?
Is this coming out of,
It says dated
They-
8/19/22.
They dropped it
Because-
off over here and I wasn't here. Usually it comes before you guys to vote on, but you guys signed it while I wasn't here and it's like,
So we're doing it, putting the.
doing it twice?
Your vote.
Put the nail, put the nail
I'm
in.
trying to put the horse back in the barn. That's what we're trying to do.
Okay, all right. Well, then let's go ahead and approve this. If I need to, I'll sign this again.
Nail in
Change
it.
the date. Since we never voted on this. But the question I have is, on the second page, says the parties acknowledge that this position is part-time and is not contemplated that the required service hours herein will exceed 1,000 hours per year. So does that mean there's always a possibility? And if that is,
Go on for a year,
then do we have an oxymoron here? I mean, it's like,
I'm still.
should that language be cleared up?
$8,500.
That the hours will
Have you
not
seen it?
exceed 1,000 hours.
You took a look at it?
Okay.
Well, what's the ARPA people making?
So
It just says
Take the word
gross compensation shall be
contemplated.
8,531.
How-
I read that, that's all it's going to be paid.
So the way this is
Just take it
intended, I think the way this is intended to be drafted is that in order for it to not be eligible for IMRF, or I guess I should say it in the positive, in order for him to be eligible for IMRF, he has to work over 1,000 hours, or it has to be contemplated that he will work over 1,000 hours.
Right.
What is being stated in this here is that it is not contemplated that he will be, but also what is absent from this is any record-keeping requirement that he show how many hours he's actually working. So therefore, he is essentially a salaried position of, he gets paid the $8,531.25, whether he works 10 hours in the week or whether he works 100 hours in the week. He is paid the same rate. So therefore, there is not an hourly computation that will ever make him eligible for IMRF.
So then that 8531 is a monthly.
That is a consistent monthly charge. Plus, they've also built into it a 50 cent per mile
Mileage
for travel expenses.
and reasonable office expenses.
Now, this is also determined by Judge Green on what he pays in, because what we do is for the contract public defenders, we give him a line item with a set amount in there. He determines how much is to be distributed each one of these.
That is true, but Tim is accurate as well, Jim, that it indicates in here necessary office expenses such as supplies, phone charges, witness costs, and postage. So if he has to bring a witness in for a case and has to pay them mileage, which is standard, then he pays that and he'll get reimbursed that mileage reimbursement. Postage, he clearly gets postage, but he'll have to show what that is. Phone charges, I don't know how you determine the phone charges, but that's, again, I don't see that a lot anymore. And again, I don't know what office expenses and supplies are because it's not defined.
And does that come out of that fund that we gave him for the contract public?
This is an
defenders?
ARPA hire, correct?
I have no idea.
No, this is not.
This is not an ARPA. This is a public,
This is,
Okay.
yeah,
this is a public defender. So before, I believe, this was Daniel Klingman's position. When he left and went down to Union County, that's when that was given up. I believe Klingman, though, was only, he was only doing the juvenile cases where this is a better contract than what Mr. Klingman had, actually.
Better.
I can tell you.
If you want me to input, I was told that he was still looking to be juvenile.
It indicates.
I think
that.
that's juveniles what it indicates.
No, it indicates, it
Yeah.
definitely indicates that.
I just had one other question about this. The mileage is at 50 cents, IRS is like 59.2 or
It can
something.
be agreed to at whatever contractual rate you want. It does not have to be
I just didn't want
Yeah,
to come back to bite us at some point in the future.
and it also indicates that the board will not provide the attorney with any office space in the courthouse, and that the attorney shall provide office space, secretarial staff, and other equipment necessary for the representation of the clients. So I don't think those count as office expenses as well because of the preceding paragraph.
And I just thought of another question. He's essentially the contractor.
He will be a contract.
public.
So he's, right, so he's essentially a contractor. What about insurance?
But the exclusion of IMRF makes me think that he's a W-2 employee.
Part-time. Listen,
But still, we have to.
So he's not a contractor, he's gonna be a W-2 employee.
Do we need?
I think how
a
these have
certificate?
worked before, they run through the claims and so they get a 1099 miles.
Aye.
Not a W-2. I think, that's what the other contract.
I understand that, but a 1099 employee would not be eligible for IMRF benefits in any sense, in any instance. So it's only through a W-2 employee that somebody would be technically an employee of the county eligible for IMRF if they worked over 1,000 hours. So,
I'm saying he's gonna get 1099. So if you're saying,
no, I'm saying he gets a W-2.
I don't think it goes through payroll.
That's where I think you guys need to have that answered.
He's a,
I think
because
so,
otherwise
Because
you're
it,
paying
it
taxes.
changes whether or not you withhold taxes
It
on
does.
his money as well.
Okay.
Well, and then also if he's a contractor, we do have a policy on contractors providing us some kind of certificate of insurance. Whether
Yes,
that is applicable here or not, I don't know. But if it is.
yes, he will need to show that he's got malpractice insurance.
Right.
How about this? How about we table this till after we're done dealing with everything and then come back? And if we need to, we can bring Ashley up here if we need to and then finish this up. If we need to redo the language on this or whatever, or just go ahead and simply approve it or whatever. Whatever, I'm just saying,
Well, and I think we need to know from Judge Green whether or
Yeah.
not it's intended to be a W-2 or a 1099 employee.
Yes.
Who's that?
so maybe in the meantime, Stephanie could,
Here's
Sure read
Lincoln's
that.
contract right here.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Here's the other two.
Oh, and for his office expenses, and wouldn't that be a W-9? Just a 1099?
Maybe.
I don't know why it's different.
How did you negotiate your contract?
So the other contracts that you currently have for the public defender's office have a $42,000 per year gross for both Megan Rich and Teresa Machikow Hopkins. Daniel Klingeman's was $31,500 for his. And so I don't understand exactly.
What is the difference in these? Why is this so much more?
I don't have the answer to that.
I mean, if that's what it needs to be, that's what it needs to be. That's a lot of money,
Well,
a lot of extra money that other people are not
the only
doing.
thing I know is that Judge Green determines how that money's divvied up. That's his call. We just give him a lump sum money, and he divvies it up however he wants. I think we gave him 45,000.
I was thinking that's what we had budgeted for. Contract attorneys.
So he's only gonna work from August 24th to November 3rd.
That is the other thing that you have to look at that. So
It
it's
says
really,
over a year, well, that's only. This is a part-time getting out of mass, or what are we doing?
August,
Well, so like I said, it's only booked to
September.
It's only 3 months.
It's 3 months is all that it
It's
is.
3 months, can you get? So I guess 10 would be most, would be, 8,500 times 3. So
26,000.
$26,000. So the question becomes, is he an employee or is he,
I wouldn't think so.
and my guess is this was what was remainder of Klingman's contract is the reason it's the reason the dollar amount is what it is.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Well, that kind of makes sense.
August 24th would have been the day Klingman was done as far as serving in the public defender's office here. So that may be the remainder of his $42,000 contract is what it may be.
He may not.
It's what it may be. I don't know, but
Got you.
So your recommendation is, do you want to go ahead and approve this? Or do you want to go ahead and wait and get a little more information from Judge Green?
well, I mean, I think you can approve the contract. I think, but we need to answer whether or not he's an employee for payroll purposes for Amanda and
That would be
Ashley.
our deal. What's the fact, we're just approving the contract.
We're approving the
They can-
contract,
I
how
think
he's,
we should do it just like we've done in the past.
how he's coded. Yeah.
That's our problem.
So then we just need a motion to approve this.
May, sorry.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Brent Fletcher.
Yeah.
Tim Anderson.
Yes.
Okay.
That wasn't difficult. I hope you guys have got something.
We'll get into this other issue. Kevin, I know we've had exchanged a couple of emails about the fleet truck, and I'm sure that's why you're here.
Yeah.
Okay. You said that you had one truck go down and to repair it would be about $6,000.
Yeah, about 6 grand.
Okay. And I know we have those other trucks coming in, but according to Ashley, he said they may not be ready until December.
Right.
So you're either down one truck or you get that truck fixed.
It's kind of where we're at,
And-
yeah.
So it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another. My question to you is, do you have any other trucks there?
There is an old truck sitting out there. However, it's not 100% set up. because it was a spare truck that we took when we got a new one. So it is missing a few things. It does get my guy around, but it's not it's not set up like it should be, like it was.
Okay,
Simply because I think it's one I talked to you about getting rid of, and you
Yeah.
said keep it out there.
yeah.
So we did.
Yeah.
It's just not fully outfitted like
Okay,
the other
let
ones.
me ask this.
And it's not real good shape either. It's got
Okay.
over like 205,000 miles on it.
Do you go on the calls yourself?
At times, not all the time.
Well, the reason why I ask is the truck that you drive is probably fully outfitted.
It's not.
Oh, it's not fully outfitted?
You know, I have radio, I have lights, does not have cages in it.
Okay,
It's not a service truck. It's
okay.
just-
I didn't know if you do, just swap it out temporarily till the new ones come in.
Right.
You know, if it had the cages and everything, and then you could use the older one just to get back and forth to work, you know.
Right.
It's just an option.
Let me wear the tightwad hat here for a second. And so you've got two vehicles. You got one older one you could use now. You got one going for $6,000. My understanding, don't we have to trade these in or not?
They're gonna be traded in, whatever condition they're
Okay,
in.
so are we gonna get enough money out of the ones that you're getting fixed over $6,000?
I have no idea.
If not,
I
I
don't
think,
know. I don't know the details of that. I don't know.
No, and Brent, I'd go you one further. He's got one coming in. I mean, we might look into seeing if we can find him a new truck. Purchase it outside the lease agreement and deduct one truck out of the lease agreement now. That might be something we might be able to do.
you find one. Good.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he only lots anymore.
because I'm
But
not
that-
sure when the trucks are actually even gonna come in.
Will they give us a state price now with the shortage?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't
mean,
either.
I don't care. It'll be a board vote, whatever.
I mean, are we
We
trading it
can't
up?
vote on it
Are we
today.
trading?
No, we
Yeah,
can't
we're
vote on
trading
it
in two
today. It's
vehicles?
just,
Or will we be trading in one?
I think we're gonna trade in every vehicle we have at some point.
So it's just, is that truck value over $6,000?
What year's the truck?
The one that's in question is 2008.
2008?
If it was over 6,000, if it's over 6,000, I would fix it.
I think you'll get more than 6,000 for a truck.
I
Trade
think
in?
so too.
That answers that one. But
Just- yeah.
you're fixing one up, then they're gonna trade two of them off. You're just 6,001, maybe a couple months is gone. So, I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, my biggest, you know, the big picture over here, obviously, you don't want to put the county funds into it if it isn't worth it. And new trucks coming in, I get that. But if those trucks, let's say they do come in December, it might be, and I told Tim this, and Brent both, you know, I think everybody, you know, it could be a month or later after that
That's right.
before they're fully ready, because I've
That's
got to go
right.
through 3 or 4 different shops before they're serviceable, you know, usable. So
And I get
there's a
that.
chance that the trucks we have now, we still could be using those for.
So I just didn't want you to be short in your department. So
Right.
however, you know, we want to do this. I mean, you
want-
can't
which
vote
is-
on it, but
Fix it, go on, or what?
Yeah.
you want to look for whatever, like what Brent said.
Well, it's $6,000. It's a pretty good size knowledge.
Uh-huh.
Fix
Yeah,
truck.
and
Yeah, it
it's just not a
It's
Then we're gonna
transmission
turn around and
problem.
fix it, we're gonna trade it.
It's
Yeah,
several
we're-
issues with it.
Yeah, right. No, I
Yeah,
get that
yeah.
point. So
Did you get estimates or just one shop?
This came from the shop simply because this transmission had a warranty from this particular shop. So we took it back where the warranty was.
It's a
However,
It's out of warranty?
by month.
So you gotta get your estimates.
Yeah, that's
You want at
fine.
least 2, if not 3.
That's fine. But the truck is, you can't drive it, so it has to be towed wherever. Or I can call and see what they can tell me. You know, each shop's gonna wanna look at it, you know.
Well, and that's fine, I'm just, that's what you guys gotta do. You can't hand select
right.
and say, this is where we're going, because this is what we've, if it was warranty issue, yes, you can. If it's outside of warranty, we still need to, if they want the business, they'll earn it.
Kevin, could you get us some more numbers on that, please?
Yeah, I can try, I can see what they wanna do with it, you know.
Okay.
What did they tell you exactly needs?
The transmission is out of it. Won't drive. It's got some suspension problems. But you can't drive with the suspension issues. It's safety issue.
Was it wrecked or did it?
No, just wear and tear, old, ball joints, things like that. Transmission. Right front has a coil spring issue. It's just wear and tear. It's just 180,000 mile truck.
It's the labor that's gonna kill you and all this.
Right. Yeah, pretty well.
So, okay,
Transmission's probably half
I
of
would just
that.
say give a couple more.
If you can get a couple more, we'll get you an answer.
Okay.
If you got a breakdown from that one shop, what it needs, just take that.
And the other truck out there is ready, it does work, it runs.
It does run. Yeah, it's just not 100% set up like the
Main thing it needs is a cage
and a radio.
and a radio.
It doesn't have a radio.
So one more question for me, then. So you're getting one truck with the fleet, is it one?
I'm getting 4.
You're getting four.
Right, I'm getting 4.
Okay, so that's what you need and everything can be traded in, right?
What I was told, the truck that I have is a 2018. I was told that we're keeping that one because it's the newest one. And then the other 4, I have 5 trucks altogether. The other 4 are getting traded in for new ones. So we will still be left with 1 spare truck.
So every vehicle will be traded in. Then I don't know. But you can one trade in.
We go, yeah, right. And they'll take one that's busted.
I mean, I reached out to you guys simply because it's a sizable repair. And new trucks are coming. trying to
That's- that's
see
a
what the
ballpark.
best economical thing to do here.
Sure.
But also, I've got towns that pay us for service, and I can't have I can't say I have a truck down. I can't get there.
No, you have-
I mean,
you have-
we're not in that scenario, but I mean, that's just something to consider. All right, I can get some more numbers for you
All right.
guys and let you know. Work on that.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay. Do we want to go into executive session at this time?
You got 2 issues. We've got personnel issues that we need to have discussion on, but then we have
Thanks, Kevin.
the
Ordinance issue?
the ordinance issue.
Okay.
And I think the ordinance issue needs to occur in open since it's a public ordinance that we're debating on creation of. So it's all a matter of what order you want to go.
Okay, well, I don't know, what do you think it take? I think the ordinance issue will
Personnel will
probably
take
take,
about 20 minutes.
okay,
If that,
Danny, are you here for the ordinance or the
no,
personnel?
well, both probably.
Oh, so you don't get to go anywhere.
I can't leave us out.
What's 10?
But let's get this ordinance
Yeah, let's do that.
real quick. We're not voting on anything, so let's just
Now, let's
discuss
get
it
you
real quick.
think.
Yeah, I'm good with.
Okay, all right. The other day, we had a meeting. I had a call, I think he had called maybe all the commissioners, from a gentleman that lives out in that one area where we have an issue with the bar. He lives further down the road, and, he was expressing how the sound at that place, at his church. Pardon me?
He's a pretty sharp guy.
Yeah, very, very, very intelligent, very level-headed. The sound was bothering him, and this was all the way up until at least past 4 in the morning. And that was on a Saturday night. Want to know what could be done, so I arranged a meeting with everybody at the time. Ted was in there, Marcy was in there, Benny was in there, this gentleman was in there, and I was in there. So we discussed what needed to be done and the issue and what our options are. At the time, one of the options that was expressed was that the county board needs to develop an ordinance of noise. Now, we have, from a prior meeting, an administrative code, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this determines what sound levels are okay, what sound levels are exceeding.
In the absence of the ordinance, fallback position becomes what's provided for in the administrative code, which provides a decibel level that allows a certain amount of sound to come out of a commercial area into a residential area. Based upon that code, it's a different level for the day and a different level for night, but at no point does it say 0. So there is always throughout the entire day, because there's nothing to prevent otherwise. That's what it falls to. The whole purpose of the ordinance, if you so choose to do it, is you have the right to restrict it as much as you want as this county and say, this is how we're going to do it in this county.
Now, we've also gotten some phone calls about other places in the county as well. So it's not just one particular bar that's giving us the problem. We've had this issue for years, every year, you know, especially during the summer when bands, they places they have that outside beer garden, maybe set up a stage and bands come. It falls. One of the things that was like we were talking about was if the county developed an ordinance. Now, in order to do that, you've got to have the equipment to go and register the sound or the decibel level. In talking with Mr. Throgmartin, Matt Throgmartin from Bicy Music, he had sent me an email, and Stephanie, you could probably go ahead if you would. I have both of them here. Oh, this is Bicy, okay. Oh, actually, okay. Here we go. I'm gonna make copies of this. It's about $700 for a decibel recording machine that comes with a kit that can be calibrated. Talking with Benny found one online, pretty much the same price. It's like a $30 difference between the two. Same thing, it comes in a kit, it's in a plastic container, and it's about $672. Okay. And it can be calibrated. With that knowledge, this is what I want to discuss with you. What questions the board would have if we moved in this direction? I want everybody to be fully understanding what we're dealing with here and what's the direction that we need to go in order to do this. I know, Brent, you had made mention that by county needed to develop the ordinance. Okay. I'm at the point where I don't care who develops the ordinance, but if we need to as a board, we will do it. If by county needs to do it, let by county do it. But whatever, I want an ordinance that's going to have teeth in it, so that we can handle some of this stuff, and so that when we get a phone call, we can call Benny and say, Benny, we've got go take a listen to this band or whatever, and or send somebody out there with the equipment, register the decibel level. We can record it, document it. And so, like issuing a speeding ticket with the radar gun, you've got the equipment. Tell somebody, we've got you going, how fast you're going. We're not just guessing how fast you're going, or thinking you're too fast. We're not thinking you're too loud here with this band. We've got actual facts and documentation on it. From that point on, then it can follow the rules of the ordinance, whether the board makes it or whether by county makes it. And then we can turn it over then at that time to the state's attorney's office, give them everything that they need to prosecute. I want to give Benny the tools that he needs to give his deputies. I want to give the state's attorney's office the tools they need to prosecute so we can become effective on this. Because this is an area that we just let go too long. So with that being said, I've talked a lot here. I want to hear from you guys.
Well, for several meetings, we've talked about this issue, and I'm on the Bi-County Health Board, been on for 18 years. We have always gone through Bi-County Health. We have no zoning in an incorporated area, period. We don't have our own cherry-picked ordinances for the Bi County Board. Sent you a couple of emails and never got a response back. Do you get my emails?
I got your emails, and I responded to them, and then they came back to me as.
Okay, so you understand how that works?
I actually don't understand what Bi-County's role is. Jim and I talked about that. I'm just not familiar with it.
Okay, so this is the ordinances that they go by. Bi-County's been wanting to change. Bi-County is wanting to come in here and sit down with us to make some more teeth and other things. Okay? I think I said that at the meeting that night, Bi-County. So they want to do that anyway. My problem is, or my fear is, you come out with a noise ordinance. We know what the goal is here. Is your goal's not going to get hit by a noise ordinance. It's not going to happen. The question is, are there citations been now, it's my understanding, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, citations sitting in the state attorney's office now?
As I understand, there are.
Have they been prosecuted?
They have not been prosecuted.
Why not?
Mr. Zanati initially elected not to pursue them. Marcy's currently reviewing them and determining whether or not she wants to charge what we currently have.
To me,
Let
that's
me-
our biggest problem right there. Why should you keep writing tickets
let me-
if they're gonna sit on a desk?
Let me just throw in one little footnote here. I talked with her yesterday, and you're correct, she is reviewing them. She said her idea was maybe select 3 of them and try prosecuting those to see how they hold up. I told her, if you do that, let me know when you're there, when this is going forward, because I want to sit in and listen. Because if it doesn't, I want to learn why it did. And so
I
that we
can
could.
give you some background there if you want me to.
Sure.
These are charged under disorderly conduct,
Right.
which is the longer.
That's all they got here.
However, because of the regulation by the administrative code, there is an allowable level of sound. So it's not simply anything that alarms or disturbs any individual. You know, we're all different. Jim may love loud rock and roll music, and Benny wants nice soft music. So that range of alarm and disturb that we use in disorderly conduct charges, which usually relates to more egregious conduct, is not there for a noise ordinance, right? So with the noise ordinance, we're bound by the administrative code. We go to court on this, on the cases that we have, which is complaint that says they're too loud. Sheriff's Department comes out, says, yep, they're loud, writes in a disorderly conduct. Defense attorney comes in and goes, say it's Sheriff Vick who's testifying. Sheriff Vick, what is the decibel level of that? Well, I don't know. We don't have a measure. Your Honor, I present the exhibit that says this is the allowable decibel level. The state has no evidence to prove that we exceeded it. We could have, 15 priests in there swearing out a Bible. It was more than that. But if we don't have the evidence, which is what Jim's talking about, the decibel readers, we're going to lose that case. That's why, regardless if you go with the ordinance or you don't go with an ordinance, but you give them the meters, at least you give us something that we can go into court and say, Judge, here's what the administrative rules provide. It's 43 decibels. I'm just picking a number random. Then he comes in and says, here's my certified decibel reader. It says 46 at that time. Now we have a case that we can win and prosecute. But the other problem, and Jim and I have talked about this in the past, is disorderly conduct is a Class C misdemeanor. It's punishable by a maximum penalty of 30 days incarceration, 30 days of public service work, it's 1,000, I believe, on Class C, in a fine. Nothing in the statute says if Benny arrests the owner of the bar that night, he can shut that bar down. Nothing says that.
That's why I don't know that this is gonna help.
Or that they can continue the next day and go out and decide that whatever fines are issued by the court, because it's not very likely that the judge, even if we don't want to agree to jail, if we ask the judge to sentence to jail, certainly not going to do it until it's been a prolonged incident. They could consider this the price of doing business as well. Every time they come out and ticket me, I'm going to pay $500.
And rolling down the road, that's right.
With the ordinance violation that Jim and I had talked about the other day, Benny was in there and Marcia was in there, is that if you craft the ordinance violation well, you can say your first offense, we come out, we tell you to shut it down. We're not going to ticket you. That's the discretion of the sheriff. Second offense, we're going to shut it down that night. Because there are ordinances that say these things. They give the discretion to the sheriff specifically in the ordinance that if in his discretion, this is the second violation from this place, he can shut them down that night. Third violation, we can shut you down for a week, and then probably on the fourth, we'll revoke your right to exist. I mean, you can even reckon answer this better than I, but I believe you can even create a license out of the ordinance. If you're going to if you want to exceed a certain level of decibel on a regular basis, because you are, you want to have an outdoor venue, you have to apply for a license and agree to understand that you cannot exceed 55 decibels after 1 a.m. on these particular nights. And if you fail, you lose your certificate and you lose your right to operate. You can craft it any way you want so that it's not oppressive. I understand your concern that it could be, somebody has a graduation party once in their lifetime and they play a bunch of music and Benny's deputies are out there crashing the party. That's not the intent. That's why you give Benny an out to say, hey, turn it down. I'm not going to issue a ticket. It's your first time. Right. We know you're having a good time. Just turn it down. He doesn't have to hammer it the first time. You stair step. The value of the ordinance violation at its ultimate end is you set a standard for the county. You say, in our county, Williamson County, this is what we want. And that empowers the statute that Benny's been writing the tickets on, which is the disorderly conduct. Now we know what the conduct is that's allowable in Williamson County. And we can say, this is what we want in Williamson County, and basically, de facto, if you exceed it, you're alarming, disturbing members of Williamson County, because we have predetermined what it can be. Because you as the county have the right to limit it as much as you choose or don't choose. The fallback position is the one that we're currently using set by the state.
So, and that's, I think, that is a misconceived fallback from what I know now. So I wanted to explain a little bit. So the health departments throughout the county by statute have the ability to create ordinances and recommend those to the county board for adoption. Okay. So they have different ways to regulate different things, and that comes down through the health department boards to the county body, who then passes those. So I'm looking at an ordinance 1981-2 that is storage and handling of refuse and nuisances. In one of those sections, it says that a nuisance is defined as anything that offends the senses and otherwise interferes with community life and development. That would be noise. It would be a sense. Now, is it well developed? Absolutely not. Does it have a decibel levels? Absolutely not. Is it an ordinance that you could say is violated? Absolutely. So I don't think you have to rely upon the public code, because the county board back in '82 did create an ordinance. Now, the fine was $200 up to $750, each offense thereafter, which again, I don't think has necessarily the teeth that you want to see, but there is something at least on paper. So I think we could amend, and I think the health department, from what Brent is saying, has a desire to amend some of this, and if it hasn't been looked at in 40 years, it probably needs to be amended in some form or fashion, because technology didn't exist at the levels that it does now. So I think we can get there. I think in conjunction with, by county, it wouldn't hurt to have more people involved with it and figure out what that is. Now, whether or not you want to go to the extent Ted is saying of having another licensure, again, that's one of the things that
It's extensive.
the public, Carbondale is a prime example of the problem of licensure. Anything you do in Carbondale, they've created a permit or a license for. They had the Eclipse come in, and all of a sudden they created a new permit and license to have a camper stay on your property. I mean, it just went time and time again, and it's become very business unfriendly. I don't know that that's where Williamson County ever wants to go. I think you guys have open arms to business. Creating a separate license that now I've got to go out and get a license for something, I think becomes a hassle to business. But again, that's.
Well, maybe you
that's options
said,
for you.
maybe I missed it when you were talking about this.
Yeah,
This is my county.
Yeah, I got
this is Williamson County.
No, this is us.
This is Williamson
This is
County.
us.
This is the county board passed this ordinance.
So this has nothing to do with my county.
By county makes recommendations based upon, and then the county has the obligation to
So-
pass.
Right, so this
Yes.
is, so I just want to clarify, that this is actually a county ordinance
This is county ordinance.
that the sheriff's department will go out and enforce.
This is.
Tony said he had COVID last week. He sent this.
Right.
Okay, so,
And I just got today.
so
Well,
here-
I just got it 20 seconds
And
ago.
here's the thing, well, yeah, we're not gonna go on anyway.
Sure, right.
But here's the thing. People live in the county for a reason. Because years ago, they had a stomp and fit over there in that building about, we don't want zone, period. It was just a massive deal, okay? But the part that concerns me is, you got 660 miles of roadway in this county. There's so much patrol out there, and every time I don't like Red, and he's next door yelling at his wife, I'll say, hey, he's too loud, come get him. You're gonna run to that one, then you're gonna run to this one. That's all you're gonna be doing, is chasing noise ordinance. You got better things to do than that. I know what the target is here, and I don't like that part of it, but the really part about me is when Granati was state's attorney, I was a liquor commissioner 4 times, and these disorderly conducts went through the courts, flying colors. Why have the tickets not been tried? And if you go in there, the judge says no, learn like a student in the classroom. Okay, what do we need to do to make this better? It's not a big loss. Oh, I lost the case. What can we do at that point to make it better? How could Chuck get these things done and we can't do it now? Sitting on a desk over there for months and months and months, sure, it's going to get it done. So I want to write another ticket. You got a bunch of them sitting over there. We also have no trespassing sitting over there, running through Julie's yard. These meetings, there were Josh and other people. Hey, you had a meeting with Julie? I answered that, no. She's been wanting one.
Marcy has talked to Julie.
She's got her phone number. She had not had a meeting like you all had with that
No.
guy that lives a mile away. So that part's not fair to her. And I see what she said. She's a neighbor. She's the one that started it. There's no ifs, buts about it. She's the one that should be talked to too. But the noise ordinance itself, as a county noise ordinance, I'm not interested in. If you want to come out and incorporate it into this part here with by county help, I'd be willing to hear what they got to say on that. But the goal, we want to get to the goalpost is not through a noise ordinance to get what you want. I've been down this.
I honestly don't. All I know is that depending on what your guys, when they go out, to have something that they can use to put an end to this nuisance. And these people that live around these areas that are creating that noise, I would not want to live there. And so we've got to do something. Just do, for me, come up with something that we can propose and vote on. Something that's going to work, that when you guys go out there, you actually have the ability to do what the sheriff's department needs to do. That's the only thing I want, Benny, is just something that you guys can absolutely use, a tool that you can use. I don't care what it looks like, I don't care where it comes from.
So if it's just a matter of giving you the equipment with what we have now
Maybe add to this, this thing here.
and modify this,
If we had the equipment, what he was talking about a while ago, where we could measure the decibel level and all that, if the state attorney's office take that, go to court with it, because I got a feeling that this sort of conduct can be a whole lot more than the city and the ordinance with the county, with fine lines and stuff like that, especially second, third, fourth, 15th time,
right? And I'll be honest with you, I had him, like I said, give me a price on this. I'd like to see you get at least two of these. One, two different squads, or they're at different areas of the county at a time,
What would you do? Leave these in?
But I would keep in mind that in instances at which we know have existed, there are multiple issues going on. It's not just the loud bass playing out of a commercial building. It is parking lot ruckus. It is parking in yards. It is headlights shining in windows.
It's potential alcohol on premises.
There's alcohol in premises being sold without a liquor license.
Illicit drugs.
There's a lot of issues that this doesn't address, that I believe the disorderlies that were written were intended to try to come up with. Because some of this may not be the loud noise from the business. It may be the parking lot in which they've got the vehicles that can certainly exceed probably the decibel levels inside of a regular business.
So then what happens with those?
So then those, you have to write the violation for the individual, just like they would do for loud exhaust, engine braking. Now they don't do it because it's not provisioned in the county, but that's what the municipality departments are faced with, is if you've got your music turned up too loud to drive through a residential neighborhood and a police officer sitting there, you're going to get a ticket. The municipalities have that ability currently to write that. I don't believe the municipalities have noise measuring devices, et cetera. And maybe the courts are going to be specific about it. It used to be the courts weren't specific on window tinting. And then all of a sudden you got a change in that, and they started making you show that the window tint was past 35% in order to get it. So then the officers had to have specific window tinting devices, because the defense attorneys were beating them because they couldn't show the proof that it was actually in violation. So I think everybody's right in the room that you learn as it goes, but you don't learn in anticipating what the court's gonna do. We've got to learn by having, unfortunately, sometimes you fall and you get back up and then you go forward. We don't know for sure whether or not somebody will argue, whether that person that gets the ticket will go get a defense attorney. You know, we don't know where it's gonna go, but we certainly can attempt. And doing nothing is created frustration. Frustration in the whole room, frustration with the people out there.
Let me make one point to Brent's point about Julie not being invited. The whole reason for that meeting was the gentleman called, did not want her there.
No, no,
And
I'm not talking about that meeting. I'm
Yeah.
talking about, she said, she's sitting there that day waiting, because she said, when am I ever going to get my meeting? I said, I don't know anything about it. She's wanting to talk to you. She said, I was promised a meeting months ago, and you're bringing somebody else in here today? And she had a text where the Josh guy, nice guy, I mean, his wife was
And we had-
texting her,
we
he's
had-
getting the meeting. She's like, why am I not getting a meeting?
We had left it that the state's attorney's office would call her to set up that meeting.
And in all honesty, we had a meeting with her here
Yes.
in which we learned of all the issues. That's how I'm
Yeah,
able
take
to,
time, take
that's
time.
how I'm able to recite some of those. So I mean, we've had that communication. We know issues that are with that area, you know, but I don't want to create, and I told Ted this on the phone as well. I don't want to create an ordinance to address an issue. I want to create an ordinance to address a countywide problem as opposed to a specific. And so back to my comment of, there are more issues than just sound
Oh, yeah.
that are here. Because when she sat here and complained of her issues, it was less of the sound and it was more of the in my yard, in my
Yeah.
lights, and disrespectful yelling, you know, profanity at me when they're out by their car. And it doesn't matter what noise ordinance you put in place, that's not gonna fix that. So we've gotta get control. But then her other
Okay.
complaint was underage and alcohol being served on the premises.
Right.
So again, you know, we've gotta work with law enforcement to figure out how do we get some type of an operation to where you can go into a place that you believe is serving alcohol without permission to find out. Because when your officers knock on the door and they say you can't come in, well, I don't know how you want your officers to respond to that. Because most of the time, law enforcement says that's not an acceptable answer. However, if it's a private place, then you can't without some form of a warrant. That's when you work in conjunction with the state's attorney's office to say, we have the belief that there's underage consumption going on a Friday, Saturday night. And so we would like a warrant to be issued to go into the premises and determine. Then you go in with the warrant, you find it, and potentially the issue gets shut down. I'm not a criminal attorney, don't even pretend to play one on TV. But I know that that office knows what they need to do and can work in conjunction with the sheriff's office based upon what we've got to figure out how to fix that issue.
We called the state.
We
liquor
did, and the
commission.
state is understaffed from the liquor
Understaffed. They
board.
had one
and they-
guy that lived in Chicago that could do it, but he said, I didn't think
And
he wanted
they
to.
left it to local.
So it's like,
But that's again, a willingness to the state's attorney's office, which I'm hearing there's a willingness to address the problem. In conjunction of working with the sheriff's department, let's figure out what that plan needs to look like to prevent that, or to at least find out whether or not that issue's still going on.
It was a similar issue years ago before Benny. I talked to Benny last night, told him what we did back then, not being on record or saying it, but the way we did it was the way we took these places. So, but around on some of these tickets, where they're driving through their yard, no trespassing.
how did they take the place down? How did they shut the place down?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. So,
I think they did exactly what we
similar,
outlined here.
but this is not.
Well,
I'm all
I just
for
know-
it. I'd like
I
to
just
keep it
know-
as.
I mean, I think this needs to be looked at and amended.
okay, all
And
right.
I think we need to have,
If this is the direction that we
That's
need
the
to go.
direction, that's fine, let's just.
Let's
get it done.
well, it's just, Jim, I'll put it this way, so, and I think Ted will agree.
Get it done.
The last thing you want is an ordinance that goes on top of another ordinance.
Oh, I
You are
agree.
better off to amend the ordinance that addresses it in some form or fashion to make it stronger than to have this 1981-2 ordinance out there, but then create a 2002 or 2022-3 ordinance that has different language than what is on the book. So you don't want an ordinance and then another ordinance. You want your.
I get it. But this has been very frustrating all along. Let's add another little chapter to this, the fines that we gave her, the $2,000 fines, that I'm sure she hasn't paid. Where are we at with those? I mean, so it's
That
like
alone
we
should
have
be-
a place that's just running amok and
Well-
doing what they want. And I know they got the mindset that now that I don't have a liquor license since I pulled it, I can do whatever I want because I don't have to worry about ordinances.
So let's say that we do fine her and they, or fine not her, but just fine anybody and they don't pay the fine. Can they be shut down at that point?
Well, that's why, have they not paid that?
That's
So
all.
if they haven't paid it, isn't
Have they paid
it?
Fines
$2,000?
related to the liquor license, I don't know how that, you've already taken the liquor license, so I don't know how you can shut them down because they haven't paid the fine.
How can we make them pay
You
the
can
fine?
file a civil proceeding, citation proceeding, and use that to,
See, and that's the question, is do we need to
Contempt.
file a small, it's not really a small claims, and as I was telling Jim, it's not been adjudicated as owed. So I don't know
is
how.
it not adjudicated when he has the liquor license?
I don't,
That's what I don't know the
I've
answer.
never dealt with it, and that's what I told Jim, is that we have to work with the state's attorney's office to find
I
out
think you would have to.
what the
file
authority
a
is.
Small claims, it's not a criminal case, so it would have to be a civil small claims filed again on behalf of the county against her based upon a fine that is owed.
Well, don't they have to show up in court?
Because see, like normally we would do an ordinance, so for instance, if it's a municipality issue, we would do an ordinance violation.
Sure.
And so
So
that's.
this is a liquor.
I know, and so now
That's
this is a
not the
liquor
same.
commission, so then what is the adjudicatory process on it? Normally you hold the license over the head and they are a willing participant and pay. This one, the license is already pulled, so what incentive does she have ever to come back? Well, it's only if she goes to apply for a liquor license in the future, they're gonna say, no, you still owe us a fine from back in the day. That's welcome to the landlord-tenant problems of somebody not paying
But
their
isn't
rent
there
and they get a judgment.
language in the liquor code though for these types of unpaid offenses?
What's that?
I gotta believe there's language in the liquor code, because Jim's authority as a local liquor commissioner derives directly from the liquor code. And unpaid, I gotta believe there's a section on unpaid fines.
Surely, goodness.
There has to be something like that.
We'll look.
Don't they have to go to court for that?
Not criminal court.
Not
No, just
criminal.
to court and say, well, why didn't you pay $2,000 or? Ted's right, about, what he said, well, you can write these tickets for 100, 200, 300, all day long, and they'll pay it. All day long, just like they do on the trash, or that they own. That's what you do, they just keep paying it, they keep paying it.
Then he has to say.
Right there in the middle of
It's hard to
this.
get awarded. Okay, how about this? You buy us this sound equipment. We'll go with disorderly conduct until this ordinance here is got a few more teeth in it. And then if it's stronger than the disorderly conduct, we'll start using it. Or if a judge comes back and says, well, it's not disorderly conduct, I'm going to dismiss it, then we'll go with that. But with the sound measuring equipment, we should be able to get a disorderly conduct charge through the state's attorney. I think Marcia will go with it.
And the only reason I got a quote from IC was because that was who they used to go out there and check it one time. So I thought if we use the same fire that she used,
It's the one she used.
bias.
So this is a quantity of.
Well, I don't know if it's the same specific one, but it's,
You have any experience, does anybody have any experience
Matt
with this
was
type
one
of
that-
equipment?
and these are very.
I would imagine
It- this one will cover.
fraud just by service, not complicated.
Well, the only thing is I'm thinking is that I'd like your, if you want us to get it, I'd like your input to tell us which machine is going to work best for your people.
Well, as long as you can calibrate it and it's simple to operate.
They come with a
Well, simple,
calibration.
that's kind of-
Right.
They come with a calibrator.
I'm not sure which, is that the same model?
It looks like the same thing.
It does. Is it a Reed? I think Reed was the
And this one looks exactly like that.
Reed Instruments. I believe it's the same model. I watched the video on that, how to calibrate it prior to use. It's very simple. You basically pull the foam off the end, put the calibrator on there and confirm has the right reading.
So we want,
Yes.
we want the sheriff to go out and get those and we reimburse them for it.
You understand, at least we'll have something to fall back on until.
What's that? Well, that's what I'm thinking.
We're not
We
talking
can't
about
vote on this. We can't
Hey,
vote
no,
on
okay,
this.
well, anyway,
But if the sheriff was to pick up the equipment necessary for the prosecution of his cases.
He could go ahead and do it.
And then ask for the
Ask for
board to
forgiveness later.
contribute to it later, he certainly could do that.
So that's what I'm saying. So,
that's a good way to word it, Brett.
and that's, we're right to do that. So if the sheriff so needed this equipment, he should go get it.
That, yeah.
Two units.
Yeah.
Whatever you need.
Well, how would you do
Well,
the
we gotta
units?
do that.
I mean, where you gonna put them at? What unit would have them, and what, was it just a nighttime have? I mean,
Probably what we would do is leave them in the squad room, and then
Yeah.
when they come on shift, especially during the high need for that specific device areas,
mhm.
we would have somebody come in and it would be assigned whoever's in that specific zone, or even a supervisor.
Yeah, so it's to pick them up as they need.
Did you have something with that?
No, I agree with Scott saying.
Okay.
You only need two, and I agree. Because they're gonna call dispatch, so whoever gets the call is probably gonna grab it, go out.
Grab one and go.
Because the sound's not gonna get decreased between the time they get the meter and get out there. I'm pretty confident in that.
I would say go ahead.
And I will say one other thing from when Jim and I met with that gentleman, it does appear that the conduct of these particular bars is escalating. Since the
Yes.
last time, long time ago, Jim and I met with Sierra, it seemed to be okay for a little while, at least in the sense of value. And according to the guy who came in, again, Jim and I thought was a pretty stand-up guy. He was like, look, this stuff doesn't normally bother me, but it's getting loud.
At 4 o'clock in the morning,
He's a nice guy.
I'm sorry, at 4 o'clock, there's no excuse. None.
Well, that's why,
It's in the 5, he says, still going on.
Yeah, when I talked to him, and you're right, he's very reasonable, very intelligent.
I mean, I don't know where you're gonna land on the ordinance, but if you change it, I would definitely put time restrictions on whether it's
Oh.
sound. Because that would be the smartest thing you could do. Say 1 AM, again, I'm just making up numbers, you got 25 decibels up to 1 AM, and after that, it's no more than a normal car engine starting.
If I'm at 1 AM living in that house, I'm still not happy.
No,
Well,
I
I mean,
agree.
you got a commercial business, is your problem. You got a commercial area that is across the street from residential area. It's always a problem.
That place is what,
And so you all would have to decide
Well, and we
what
also-
happens if you have commercial businesses down at the lake that are not normally problems and they're across from residential area. And you're gonna say to them, they got knocked off at 11. They're gonna say, well, I got people there at midnight, I'm trying my business, so, it's like Brent said, you gotta figure what's best for the whole county, not just for the situation.
And we are gonna look at other things that are disorderly, right?
Yes.
So not just noise.
Well, and anything that, and the sheriff and the deputies know, anything that they see that's a crime outside, so they will write.
Right.
But Brett's right, the guy driving through a yard has nothing to do with Sierra, you can't
Right.
take that.
Exactly.
That is
those
so,
citations would stick,
I get it.
but without a doubt, they would stick.
and,
They're gonna be tried.
people in the parking lot, when they get into shouting matches at each other, you can't
It's not her
necessarily
fault.
peg her for that. You have to get those individuals, and I believe it's been a while. I talked to Sean Miller, he said he thought he charged a couple out of that parking lot in the last year, because I think they had a gun pool out there something a year ago, before my time. He thought that he had charged that.
Well, if it hasn't happened, it's on its way to that.
I agree.
All right, if one thing I like, it's a twofer, and with Brett being on the attorney to Pike County, I think we got our twofer.
Right.
So, all right, Brett,
I got my marching orders.
you got your marching orders.
Tony,
All right.
Tony by county is aware of what's going on there, so.
Okay.
You want to add
And
more things?
Vinnie, you've got your marching orders.
And when we need to go into, close.
And I think right now, at this time, we do have a couple of issues to go into.
3-minute break.
And Justin is on Zoom right now. We can go into executive session. So does with the,
Think so.
Need a motion to go into executive session
Right.
pursuant to 5 ILCS 120-2C for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, and dismissal of specific employees. I think that should be enough to cover it.
Okay.
Make a motion.
Second.
You all don't need me.
No, thanks, Ted.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ted. Appreciate it.
Jim Farley,
Yeah.
Rick Gentry,
Yeah.
Tim Atkinson.
Okay, or you, Ted, when you go out.
Give me 2 minutes.
On top.
Yeah.
Here, I got,
Is Marcy?
no, I've got it on email.
I want to make sure Marcy.
Yeah.
Justin, are you on there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Give me 2 minutes, Justin, okay?
Okay.
We're staying in here. Oh, they did it. I'm staying.
I'm gonna have to shut the.
Go ahead. I second that.
Get a copy.